Hello, 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 and welcome to the Thursday Night Book Club. And yes, Thursday Night Book Club for the Mindfulness Network for People of Color. Yes, and we've had a little break, so it's not been that long actually, a couple of months, but it seems like quite a long time for me. So it's really nice to be back, and it's also really great to be back and to have a nice we have a nice turnout live audience this evening, so it's great to see a few people who are joining us this evening. So I want to welcome everyone who's coming in today to join us for this session of Thursday Night Book Club. So my name is Zindika Kamausi, and I'm the host of the Thursday Night Book Club. I have been hosting it for more or less this year, really. And I am a meditation mindfulness practitioner, and I'm an author of several books, and I'm part of the MNPC team member. Yes, I'm one of the team members for the MNPC group. So, in terms of this evening session, I'm going to be starting off with the opening meditation, and also then we'll introduce Cheron Van Beek this evening, and who's presenting this evening, and she's going to do her presentation. So she's going to be in conversation, Cheron Van Beek, and she's the author of Releasing the Enemy Within. She'll be doing her presentation around that book and her other books as well. And then Cheron has kindly agreed as well to do a brief closing meditation as well. So that's how things will look for this evening. And I'd also like to say, please do, we'll give us a session after we finish the interview just for if anybody in the audience wants to ask a question or two of Cheron. But you'll also have that opportunity as well once we stop recording. Yes, okay. So, right. So what I usually do at this point is I usually start with a brief meditation. I also, brief meditation. And before we go into the meditation, I just want to start off and just sort of settle in with our book club pledge. And that is, before we speak, we begin with calm and taking a breath. We gather our thoughts. We become open to receiving knowledge and information. We become open to sharing. We become open to caring for each other. We do our best and embrace the space in respect of truth and in the spirit of togetherness and oneness. So let's take in a breath and breathe in and out. And as you breathe in and out at your own pace, just settling into the breath. And just breathe, smile. Always brings in a bit of calm when we can smile. And be. Be here and nowhere else. So we're here. Sometimes when we come into a session like this, we've been doing lots of other things before that. So we're just going to bring ourselves to this space and leave everything else that we don't need at the moment outside, and just be in this present space at this moment, and just breathe, smile, and be here. And as you inhale and exhale, just want to pay a bit of attention to that inhale, pause. It's like taking it in 4 parts, the actual breathing process, the full breathing process. Inhale, then we pause, then we exhale, and we pause before inhaling again. So let's just do a few of those. And as you do that, just really observe the pause, as often we don't remember that pause is there between the inhale and the exhale, and exhale and the inhale. So inhale, pause, exhale, pause, and just observe your inhale and your exhale with the pauses in and out. Just for a few seconds. And as you breathe in for calm. Breathe in for calm within yourself, within your being. Breathe in for the relaxation you want to bring in. And breathe in for peace in the world and in your own environment. So what we're doing is just breathing and watching and observing thoughtfully the breath in and out, with the pauses, and then being aware of any feelings and sensations that may be coming up as you slow that breath down and become aware between the pause of the inhale and the exhale. And just allowing all tension to melt away, tension in the body, tension in the mind. A lot of the time we can have a lot of mind chatter going on that prevents us from really being in the present moment and for bringing in calm. So just release from the mind, bringing it to calm, and allowing any mind disruptions just to disperse, and just allow it to melt into the background. It's there, but just allow it to melt away into the background. And tell yourself to be calm, to be open and relax as we enter this evening's presentation with Cheron. So breathe, smile, and be. Breathe, smile, and be. Breathe in. And as you take in this particular breath, can you release it with a sigh? And let's take in another one. And one more. Breathe in. and sigh out. And we're going to be coming back to the space. And now we all should be feeling a bit calmer. So we can continue with this evening's presentation. Yes. So I'm going to stop sharing as we come back together. Okay, so welcome back. Yes, should all be feeling a bit calmer now. So, of course, now I would like us to continue with this evening's session with by welcoming Cheron. Hi, Cheron.
Hi, Zindika.
Yes, welcome, and welcome to the audience as well. And so we have Cheron Van Beek this evening with us, and she's in lovely Canada, aren't you, Cheron?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, she's in lovely Canada, yeah. So we're international this evening. Yeah, so I'm just going to say a little bit about Cheron, and then she can say more as she begins speaking, and we'll just dive in after that into looking at her writing, her books, and whatever she wants to share with us about her purpose and her work. So, Cheron Van Beek is an author, speaker, and trauma recovery coach who is passionate about helping women, men, and children achieve their greatness. As a compassionate listener, she can help each individual navigate their journey in a way that applies to them. She's the author of several books. So these are some of your books, Cheron. You Can Rise Above It, Hurt People Can Heal, Diamond Diaries, Together We Rise, which I believe is an anthology.
Yes.
And Anger in Me, Releasing the Enemy Within, which is the book that was in our publicity that we sent out.
Yes.
Now, Cheron shares her story and experiences to inspire women, men, and children, and she aims to motivate them to embark on their journeys of internal healing, self-discovery, and embrace themselves fully, empowering themselves to take control of their lives. Cheron's commitment to her personal growth and healing is evidenced in her own downtime activities. She finds solace in hiking with her daughters, reading and embracing stillness. Great. That's lovely. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Cheron. So let's welcome you to this evening session, Cheron. And can I start by just asking you to tell us about your book? And of course, as we said, the book that we put in the publicity was called Anger in Me, Releasing the Enemy Within. Maybe you could also tell us as you go into your talk about who is the enemy within?
In my healing journey, what I found was, so when I wrote this book, Anger in Me, I had just begun my own healing journey of healing my abandonment wound. And that was a process. In fact, I'm still kind of working through it at this time. But anger in me was the anger and resentment I felt towards my mom for abandoning me and have me and my sisters. But I'm only speaking on my journey because I don't want to interpret how they may or may not have, how it works for them. I can only speak for myself. I do know we were in it together and there's certain things that we share together, but this is my own representation of how it worked for me. And before I began healing this abandonment wound within myself, I did not realize that the enemy is within me. And though the enemy that I found for myself is that anger, the pain, resentments, judgments on myself, judgments on other people, doubts, fears, and insecurities. And once I began to start healing my pain, I was able to identify that as much as we like to believe that somebody else is the enemy and somebody else is responsible for how we feel and or responsible for making us feel better. We are responsible for our own feelings. And yes, we are affected by other people's behaviors, and learning how to identify for myself some of those things that affected me in regards to other people's behaviors were triggers that I needed to heal within myself and within my pain. And this is when you begin this journey of healing, you have to actually turn that spotlight from other people, blaming and putting expectations, either verbal or mentally, on other people to make your life better. You, the way I see it for myself, I am responsible for my own happiness, my own peace, and my own joy. And yes, other people who are in my life or a part of my life are there as an enhancement to my journey. Some of them are there to bring out the triggers, which is no fun at all. And it's just like, I don't, this person is really getting on my nerves or driving me insane, and I wish they would go away or, go to another universe, that kind of a thing. But if you really stop and take the time to not be in that blame of somebody else and look at them and ask, what is this person trying to teach me? Or why is their behavior triggering me? What is that trying to teach me? Is it something I have to heal within myself? Or is it something that I need to learn? Is that person here to push me out of my comfort zone? Because I've been in a lot of comfort zones and I just love it there. But when you're on this journey of healing, you begin to start pushing the boundaries of that comfort, and it takes you in a completely unexpected direction. And it also helps you discover how beautiful you are inside and all the many beautiful gifts that you have. It's, trust me, like working through your pain, it's not fun. It is excruciating. But when you get to the other side, you start, and it's not even when you get to the other side, when you start to see these beautiful little diamonds inside, hidden inside of you. It's the universe. I like to say the universe because that's what resonates with me and where I am in my journey. If you please switch it to whatever, if you believe God, Allah, Buddha, just switch it. For me, it's the universe at this point, okay? So when you're going through this healing process, the universe gives you these insights where you start to discover these little beautiful gems within yourself. But you're still, depending on your journey, I know for me, I was always a negative Nelly, and I always thought, like, if something good happens, it's just like, this is too good to be true. And when you start seeing these nuggets within yourself, it's like, no, this is not true. Because for so long personally, I believed I was stupid, and I was afraid to apply myself in school. I was afraid to try to do anything outside of this belief that I was stupid. When I started healing, I began to discover that that was a limiting belief and one that can be expanded. And I learned this term because before it's like, oh, okay, so these beliefs limit me. and I want to change them to ones that free me of these limits. But I learned that, and in a sense, I wanted to leave those beliefs behind, because I thought, if I leave them behind, I got them from my mom, most of them. So if I leave them behind, I'm leaving her behind and moving on with my life, which is not really the case, because even though I know she, and I don't make excuses for her, I know that she did the best for who she is and what she knew. And I'm understanding that I am doing the best for myself, for who I am, and for what I know. So in learning that I still have those beliefs, because they are a part of me, they were a part of my journey, and they got me to this new point. And now I'm just expanding those beliefs and getting new ones that continue to help me grow and evolve. And I found that when I use the word expand those beliefs, it helped me feel a lot better inside. It just seemed to resonate and align with me and the journey. So, yeah, expanding the beliefs and working on healing. And really, that is facing the pain. Another new thing I learned, instead of overcoming my fears, is becoming intimately acquainted with them, getting to know them, getting to discover why they hold me in this place of fear. What are they trying to protect me from? And when you really become intimately acquainted, you understand that those fears are just trying to keep you safe in your beautiful comfort zone. And I think
Yeah,
we all have comfort zones that we are very happy to stay in, but there
yeah,
is so much more to life outside of them
mm.
and
Yeah.
outside of those fears. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to pick up on what you said about because your book is called
Anger in
Releasing
me.
Anger
Yeah.
Within Me and Releasing the Enemy in Within, and you talk quite a bit about the beauty and the diamonds that are actually within, um, and how you yourself have been sort of experiencing those, in your experience, and maybe that led to you writing your book. So, if you could, what would you say is your if you had to tell somebody about this, what would you say is your biggest you've spoken about learning quite a lot from it, but what would you say is your biggest lesson that you've learned from having gone through that experience?
The biggest lesson that I've learned from this experience is that we all can do it. We are all worthy and we are all deserving of doing it, whatever it is for you and your life and your journey. And there's enough space out there in the universe for each of us to have our own spotlight. And we work together to raise each other up, instead of working against each other and trying to beat each other down and keep each other in your place, whatever you know grew up knowing that this is your place. But it's not your place. It's not. We don't have to live in the societal beliefs that we grew up with. And we can change those narratives for ourselves, for the future generations, and just for our own futures.
Mm,
It's yes, because something incredible I learned is this: as a mother of three beautiful daughters, I represent the present. And I believe I was telling my daughters they represent a part of the present, but they also represent the future. They will walk this earth in a different way that I walk right now. And I am doing my best to walk in a way that gives them better opportunities, makes the path easier for them, but also gives them the ability to forge their own path and shine brighter than I get to shine and make a difference in that's what we're supposed to be doing here. Our role is to leave this place better and make a difference for the next generation and the future generations to come.
Mm.
The same way Maya Angelou did for us, Rosa Parks, and many other great people forged the way for us.
Yes, yeah. And her Maya Angelou's books are yeah, all about her growing up and her life stories as well, which yours are. Do both your books, do they continue? Do they develop your story as you go through each book?
Yes, they do. They do develop the story. So the first book I wrote, so I'll tell you, I never knew that writing was my gift. I kind of discovered it in the middle, like as my healing process began, and it went to my head. I got a really big ego, big head. And I just immediately thought that I am supposed to be this New York Times best-selling author, and I'm supposed to do all these great things. And I was just really so very excited about this gift, but I was afraid to receive it. And when I wrote my first, well, I co-authored, I did a couple of anthologies prior to writing Anger in Me as my first book. I had a lot of doubts and fears and insecurities around it. But I found like it's just that yearning and that calling inside of me that actually ended up making me send it out into the world and have it do self-publishing. And I still do have a great publisher who helped me, and she kept telling me it's such a great book and it's going to help people. But I didn't fully believe that. And when my book was published, I was very disappointed that it did not get to the New York Times bestseller. And I see that, when I talk about the universe giving you these little nuggets throughout the journey, showing you this diamond that you're in the seeing that I have the ability to write this book, seeing the amount of people who have reached out and said it's resonated with them and helped them in their journey was really and truly amazing. But at that point in my journey, my head was still very, very big, like enormous. So I appreciated what people had to say, but because of my head being so big and my fear of receiving, it was difficult for me to receive. And then because I had that disappointment in the fact that it was not a best New York Times bestseller, and I was like, okay, so you're saying all these nice things to me and telling me how the book resonated with you, but why didn't you guys work hard enough to make me that bestseller that I want to be? And
Yeah.
just came from naivety, and I know, and I know, like for my journey, it was a process for me to keep learning, to keep growing, and there's still so much healing that I needed to do. And understanding, I'm now like on the other side of the healing, and I see that that version of me had too much of that burden. I was carrying way too much baggage that was not going to serve me in that time. And if for me to have become a New York Times bestselling author at that particular moment was going to be self-serving. And my journey is not self-serving. yes, of course, I still desire, and that is my hope and my dream, and I know it will come true that I will one day become a New York Times bestselling author. But the purpose is to work for the greater good of everybody. And the universe really, really showed me that when we, a part of my journey was with abandonment wound, you have codependency. And my oldest daughter and I had become unhealthily codependent on each other. And one day during COVID, just as COVID started, we're coming out of the lockdown, she said, Mom, you know, we're unhealthily codependent on each other. And I laughed and I said, yes, I know, but I'm okay with it. And she said, I am not okay with it. And I said, okay, if you're not okay with it, what are you going to do about it? So she said, well, we started trying to have our own life. For her, it was easier, you know, because she was like going out to work. Was not really feeling the need to be social because I was just in that energy of healing and isolation. So she would go out, but when she would go out with her friends, I would always be, as I tell you, no sooner she left, I'm texting her, what time are you coming back? Oh, you didn't put your find my friend on, so I need to track you. And then she's gone, and then all of a sudden I have an emergency that I need something so desperately that she needs to come back home and help take care of or pick up on the way and stuff like that. And after a while, she's like, Mom, I really can't take this because you're not allowing me to you're like allowing me to go. But as soon as I go, you're pulling me back in. And it's not helping either of us. So I'm going to the UK. And I was like, what? No. I use some colorful language. It's like, no, you don't get to like cut my jugular like that and give me more trauma. We're coming with you. So we went to the UK and we spent 10 months there, which was a part of the healing journey. And then when we came back to Canada, we wanted to be in the old neighborhood that we lived in, but the universe put us in a different neighborhood, completely out of our comfort zone. But when we began to settle in this new neighborhood, I began to see that the universe was not working for me and my individual desires, but working for the greater good. My two younger, we all needed to be in this area because the two younger ones needed to be in this particular school so that my youngest daughter had a lot of anxiety from COVID. So she had social anxiety and of course a little bit of trauma from me. I say a little bit, but she has some trauma that I put on them from when I was going through my healing journey. Some of it was from my healing journey, some of it was from parenting or projecting onto them, projecting. And once I started healing, began to understand that projecting is causing more pain, and then identifying what are the things that trigger me. And with the two younger ones, the three main triggers were bath time, um, bedtime, and morning time. There were major, major triggers for me, and I would really become very angry and verbal, screaming, shouting, swearing at them, like the whole neighborhood could hear us, you know. But when I found myself I learned about, you know, like you're supposed to go in and process. So I got myself a sulking corner that turns into my processing corner. And I love it. I love to call it my sulking corner because I used to go in there and sulk and be angry. And why don't these children listen? Why don't they change? Why don't they behave the way I need them to behave? But what I learned in the sulking corner is, firstly, I was projecting my pain onto them, which they were not deserving of. But secondly, I was also silently expecting them to behave as the adult that I am, not as the children that they are. And understanding that they are children, they process things differently, they behave differently, and they do things, we're all in different individuals, so they will do things differently. So that came, helped me stop trying to control them, to be versions that of themselves that I wanted them to be, and understanding they do it differently to the way I do it. And I promise you, when I did that and started taking responsibility for my choices, my actions, my enemies, peace in our house. In the morning, it would take us, like every morning, we would run for the bus. People will be crying. I'll be shouting. My children are crying. I'm crying all the way to the bus stop, and we were late every day. Now, no shouting, no fighting. There's just peace. I allow them to do what they need to do, how they need to do it, and also just allowing them to be responsible for themselves. And it's so much more peaceful. We are ready. We're leaving here 5 minutes before, taking a walk to the bus stop. They want me around. We laugh together. They hug me. They're not afraid, like embarrassed. The 11 3/4 and 10 1/2. And like, I'm the only parent at the bus stop with these big girls, They are not even embarrassed of me. If I go to the school, they come running. They're not in it. It's so heartwarming to
Yeah.
see that I've done this healing journey. And yes, I know that I have put some trauma on them. And we are working on, we get help. We go for family counseling. They do counseling on their own. And just working together, having open and honest communication with them, and really seeing with children, we seem to, I was taught growing up that the parent is always right, the parent is the law. But when you change your perspective, when you start healing, I'm seeing that, yes, the parent is the law, but I can also learn so much from them. And I
Okay.
am learning. Like
Yeah.
the one is so loving and kind. The other one is so joyful and free-spirited, and she just has this belief in herself that, and she tries something and she will keep trying. And then when she does it, she's like, I did it. Yeah. And she celebrates herself. And it's like, oh my goodness, these are qualities I need for my own, these are
Yes.
the
Yeah.
gems right in front of me that I get to see and embrace.
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up on that, Sharon, as you were talking there about your experiences, and especially with your daughters, and healing as well. You've mentioned is a process, and your book, I guess, will your books or your books
Yeah.
will reflect that, and also writing is a process as well.
Yes.
And so how did you find that process together? And did you bring some of the experiences you were just mentioning, some of these sounds like certain tools you've discovered with working with your daughters as well, as they became part of your healing journey as well. They come into it as well, and their healing as well. How did you manage that, or did you put that into the books as well? Some of those.
Not these books, but the next book that I'm working on right now is called Trauma to Triumph. And in this particular book, I talk about the codependency bond, the damsel in distress persona that I had. I really, my ex-husband is the one who kind of opened the can of worms to this healing journey. because he was supposed to be my knight in shining armor and we were supposed to live happily ever after. But that didn't work out, which I shared that part of the journey in Anger in Me, where he was deported, and that was one of the greatest trials of my life. And that trial shattered my whole life, shattered my whole vision and expectation for it, you know, the way it changed the whole trajectory. And for 4 years, I was in this pain and anger. At that time, I believed like the Christian beliefs, but through going through my journey, changing now to spirituality. But I was angry at God and it's like, why me? What did I deserve to do this? I don't think I'm like that bad of a person to have received such a punishment. This was supposed to be my happily ever after, and now it's like my life is shattered. And for 4 years, I was in that depression, but I hid the depression because afraid of that it's, you know, like if you're depressed, you're a weak person and afraid to be shamed. I judged and shamed myself. I think my cousin used to tell me that I was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. And when I, in hindsight, reflect back to that, I believe that I was, but I was afraid that if I admitted to the breakdown or allowed that breakdown to consume me, I would lose my children. And they were young and didn't have, it's just like us in Canada. The rest of my family is in other parts of the world abroad. So I was like, if I give into this perceived weakness of my depression and my like verge of a nervous breakdown, then what happens to my children? I have to be strong. I have to keep going. I have to keep pushing. And when my cousin would say to me that I'm on this, I look like I'm ready to have a nervous breakdown, I was like, no, I am not. I'm fine, like vehemently denying it. But once I started writing and doing this healing, actually, how the journey started was I was driving home one day from work and it had been raining. And you know, when it rains, like sometimes the clouds stay there, but the sun starts shining, but there's still cloud coverage. And I was looking and I stopped at the traffic light and I looked up and I was like, wow, if the sun in all its glory continues to shine behind those clouds, behind that thunderstorm, the clouds are shining. Have you ever been on a plane when it's cloudy and you get up to a certain height? The sun is there. And it's like, so it's like, wow, the sun continues to shine. So even though I'm facing this trial and the storm in my life, I was like, there must be a blessing in disguise in this situation. I don't know what it is, but thank you, God. And I really don't feel grateful for it, but thank you. And what I had no idea was being grateful for the trial started changing my life. So every time I felt sad or depressed, I just kept saying, thank you. There's a blessing in disguise in this situation. I don't know what it is, but there is a blessing in disguise. And I know it's not easy to be thankful for a trial because when you're in the middle of your storm, it just seems like everything is coming at you from all angles, right? And who wants to be grateful for this trial?
Yeah.
I certainly didn't want to. And I know a lot of people, when I tell them, can you try to be grateful for your trial? They want to beat me up. So
Yes, yes, of
and I
course.
totally get
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah.
Because if you had told me when I was in the middle of my thing, find gratitude for this situation, I would be not very happy, right? So, but if it aligns with you whenever you might feel ready, try to be grateful and say, there's a blessing in disguise in this, because trust me, the blessing is greater than I could have imagined. I had no idea that I would now get on this healing journey and discover all
Yeah.
the attachments, or all the baggage, the burden I was carrying of this pain. And you begin to identify like how much you pick up along the way because of that pain. It directs your life, and it also in some strange way makes you gather more pain, more suffering from the choices that you unconsciously make.
Yeah, so Cheron, yeah, I mean there are lessons in that for all of us, really, especially the scene you painted of the thunderstorm and the sunshine, that we can get through things, and that is how life is. We do get through the things at times we think we're not going to. It's
Mm-hmm.
but we do get through, and there's always something brighter on the other side, and the blessings
Yes.
are there. So just another question or so, and then want to drop into the brief meditation as time is going
Oh,
fairly
yes, yes,
quickly
yes.
as well. Just one question around, this is group is the Thursday Night Book Club, hosted by the Mindfulness Network for People of Color, and in your book, you talk about the fact that, or in your bio, you talk about the fact that this book should be, or your book should help men, women, and children. And I was thinking, oh, how about, how do you think it would help men of color or children? You kind of, a little bit when you talk about your daughters, a little bit as well. Maybe you touched on that.
Yeah.
What about
So,
men of color?
well, the amazing thing is, so I grew up with the term colored. I was born and raised in Zimbabwe, and we identify as colored, and colored is a mix from actually many different mixes: black, white, Indian, and the if you look into the background, and I know there's a whole lot of controversy in terms of using the term colored, but that is our heritage. And I take a stand for identifying as a colored person. And part of my healing journey was how learning. So as a colored person, we were taught that people who identify as black are beneath us, and people who identify as white are above us. And we feared people who identify as white and expected them, like treated them in a way of superiority. And people who identify as black were treated differently. And if you know the history of Zimbabwe, there was segregation. So I kind of had that segregated mentality. And the crazy thing is with the the culture is that it's okay to come home with a white partner, but it's not okay to come home with a person who identifies as black. It's kind of frowned upon and looked upon. So for myself, this is something that I identified that I have that like a segregated mentality, and I have to work on my biases towards taught biases, and just the way the system was, like at the time when I lived in Zimbabwe, the people who identified as black were like they cleaned the homes, they took care of the children, they did the gardens and stuff. People who identified as coloreds were kind of kept in this where you have, I think, nursing. The men do like in mechanics, and the nursing and secretaries, and then the men do kind of mechanics. And yes, there's some people who have thrived and have success and broken through, become doctors, accountants, authors, you know, that kind of thing. But through sharing my story openly, honestly, talking about my bias and understanding that there is no, at least for me, the way I see it, we should not be treated in classes according to the color of our skin, and just loving and accepting each other,
Yes,
working
of
together,
course.
uplifting each other, regardless of skin, color, creed, race, where you come from, and all of that. We
Yeah.
are here to help each other. So it's amazing because I had no idea that the colored Zimbabwean men watch. And one time, when I was in the UK, I had an opportunity to go to an event that was hosted by the colored community. And one gentleman came up to me and he said, "Thank you for all that you're doing. We see you." And I was like, oh my goodness, wow, wow, wow. To know that men of color are watching me and I'm resonating with them really warms my heart and gives me that inspiration to be more in this, you know, out there in the spotlight, sharing my story and continuing to grow, to be honest about my biases as I'm learning and growing.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, just
yeah,
very quickly, one thing. So I'm working on my biases now towards white people. My two younger daughters identify, if you see them, are white passing. Their dad is a white person. And one day I was having a rant and a rave about white people, and my daughter said, "What did I do wrong? I'm white." And I was like, oh my goodness gracious, this is like, wow, just like that cold water in my face. So it's just a really, for me, it's been a great journey of learning, being
yeah,
open, being honest with myself, with everybody around me, and identifying my biases, my triggers. I know they're there, and
yeah,
working on them, and
of course.
understanding that they don't get to know people,
Yeah.
get to be in different, and that's exactly what the universe has done, put me in an area where there's diversity, and I am engaging with many different people from different backgrounds, different skin colors, different cultures and beliefs. And it's so amazing to have your mind opened, you know, with you go with an
Yeah,
open mind and open heart and learn so much. So
that's
thank you.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm just conscious of the time now as we're
Yes,
coming up
sorry.
to
Yeah.
close. But yeah. So have you do you I mean,
Can
you
I
know,
share?
your healing is obviously,
Oh,
you
sorry.
know, just very broad, you know, not just personal, but also, you know, in terms of the politics as well, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
so much, and race, and yeah, so broad. So your work will really help, you know, a lot of people. But across in terms of MNPC, yeah, the word, you know, people of color just really takes in
Yes.
everybody
Yes.
who is non-white, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what that means, the space for anyone who's non-white. So just before we close now, I'm just going to ask you, where can people, because you said you're working on another book, where can people get hold of you or your books? You want to tell us where they can get that?
So yeah, the my books are available on Amazon, and I have a Facebook and Instagram. So Instagram is Inesher, INER_CHER. If you follow me there, you'll see, or if you go to my Facebook Inesher, Facebook page Inesher.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
And
you.
shall we do the
Yes,
brief meditation you've got?
yes, I'm gonna
Yeah, you're going to do a brief because it'll be nice to have that. Yeah. So,
thank you. And thank you for having me, and thank you for allowing me to share. Thank you.
okay.
Getting into a nice,
Can you hear
comfortable
it?
seated position.
Can you hear it? Can everybody hear?
Okay.
Allow your
Okay,
palms to
good.
rest in your lap, facing open if you wish to receive the energy you are going to generate, or facing down if you wish to ground into the energy you are creating around you. Either way works. Choose what feels best for you. You can't get it wrong. Once you feel comfortable and ready, gently close your eyes. On every inhale, allow your belly and chest to expand. And on every exhale, feel them contract. What sensations do you notice as you breathe? Really allow yourself to tune into your body and your breath, perhaps noticing the points of contact between you and the surface on which you are seated. As you feel yourself becoming more present in your body, you begin to become grateful for it. You consider how it keeps you alive even when you are not even conscious of it. Your body breathes for you, digests food for you. What else does it do for you? Take a moment to think about the ways your body serves you. As you think about what your body does for you, notice the gratitude welling in your heart for this. Say to your body out loud or in your mind, "Thank you." And as you consider this, you let your awareness expand to also include not just your physical body, but also your personality, who you are as a human being. You might consider your accomplishments, your personality traits, what you stand for, and what you believe in. And as you think about all that you are, you begin to become deeply and truly grateful. Feel that gratitude welling within you, and growing and rising, perhaps even putting a smile on your face. And as it feels good to you, say out loud or in your mind to yourself, "Thank you. I am grateful." And as you consider this, you allow your awareness to expand again, not just about your body and who you are as a human, but also outwards even more into all that there is about your life that you appreciate. What comes to mind first? Why are you grateful for whatever this is? What does this do for you? How does this help you in your life? Tune into the great gratitude you have for whatever came to mind and say out loud or in your mind, "Thank you. I am so grateful." Now take a deep breath in, stomach and ribcage fully expanding, letting this feeling of gratitude build at the top of the breath. And whenever you're ready, exhale with a sigh. At the bottom of that breath, as you return to your natural flow of breathing, you begin to roll your shoulders, wiggle your fingers and toes, and slowly open your eyes back to the world around you, carrying this incredible sense of gratitude with you as you go about the rest of your beautiful day.
Okay. Thank you, Cheron.
Thank you, Syndica. Thank you.
Yes,
Everyone
yeah.
who's
Well,
thank
yeah,
you.
thank you for being here with us this evening and for coming and talking and sharing your books and your bit about your life and your stories. And, I'm a really big fan of stories and telling our stories because we know that, they impact us and they impact others. And it's all about sharing, is caring, and also that we know that, even if it helps one person, that, that's all great.
Yes.
It's going to help people when they read your story. And it also give other people the permission to tell their stories as well. So yeah, so that's great. So thank you for coming in. The time's really caught up with us, but thank you for coming to share your message and your excellent books, which you say are available on Amazon, I think it is, or
Yes, Amazon.
yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay, Amazon, which and these books which are full of your authentic, real experiences, and I appreciate the time that you've taken to come and share that with us. And yeah, so sending you blessings over there to Canada all the way, and good luck with your books and anything else that you're writing, and have a calm and blessed evening. And thank you to the audience for coming in this evening. And I hope that you'll all attend
Yes,
another
thank you so
Thursday
much.
night bookshop again, book club again. So yeah, okay, Cheron.
Okay, are we going to stay behind and
yes,
have
I'm just
some
going
chat?
to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're so welcome, Valerie. Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye bye. Thank you,
This.
Sandika.
Yeah.
I did. Thank